You know, PSR attracts this incredible array of diverse students, both in terms of their faith practices and traditions. We have not just United Methodist or Universal, you know, we have this incredible array of different faith traditions that are coming here, from Seventh-day Adventist to Baptist to United Methodist and so forth. We also have this incredible diversity of age and life experience. So I'm a second, third career person, and I get to be in conversations with these incredibly bright 20-something-year-old millennials that are going to actually change the world. And at the same time, I get to be also surrounded by extraordinary elders that have been in the community, leading and teaching and being mentors to all of us. This combination of scholarship and community activism, of spirituality and common sense realities, and of enormous diversity is something that I rarely find anyplace else. Not in church, not at work, not even in my neighborhoods. So I get to come here and experience that.
All that you know isn't all that there is to know, and there's always something else to learn. And I think when we got to the Old Testament, everything really just opened up.
And so that's an exciting thing for me, to feel like I have now received some training that will help me to better communicate.
Just the material alone, it's like, wow. And the topics, things that I just never talked about before. And just the openness of everybody, all the participants. And I'm just so elated to be here.
I decided to come to PSR because I knew I wanted to become a spiritual leader and a United Methodist pastor, and I wanted to have the skills, the network, and the grounding, theological grounding, so that when I was finally given the privilege of being in service to community as a pastor, I would have a body of knowledge, ability to think critically, ability to engage wholeheartedly and faithfully, and I would have a community behind me and with me throughout the rest of my life in this journey. You know, my experience with PSR is that I'm not just here for 3 years during my MDiv. The friendships I've made, the relationships I'm building, the networks that I have now in my life, they're going to be with me forever, and they're going to be with me in that pulpit, and they're going to be with me on the protest lines of community activism, and they're going to be with me in my family and in my own personal life.
Thank you for introducing me to PSR, where I'm about to be the biggest activist in this Bay Area. Thank you.
I'm just excited to see where, the Lord is going to lead me. I know I'm going to be here at PSR somewhere, and I'm just excited for the journey to follow after this. PSR is a small school, but it's a large school. But to know that the faculty cares enough to actually follow you personally and say, I'm here with you through this journey. And I'll never forget the first day I met her and I signed up for the program. She said, are you ready for the journey? She said, because I guarantee you the way you walked in, you're going to walk out different. And I really did walk out different.
The teachers here at PSR are a combination of these extraordinarily in-depth and deep-thinking scholars. And at the same time, they have a pedagogy, a way of teaching, which honors and respects everything that we as students bring to the table here. The teaching and learning is collaborative, it is insightful, it forces us into sometimes, certainly for me, it forces me into tackling uncomfortable questions for myself. And yet at the end of the day, I end up developing my own sense of agency and my own sense of voice and my own sense of discernment, which is, I think, what we want. You know, the teachers are not there to merely recite facts that we have to memorize and learn. The teachers are there to help us and help me become an engaged, inquiring, lifelong learner. My intention right now is to become an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church and to pastor a church and to be part of a community that is trying to build a sense of faith and connection with God and with each other. That is my goal. What PSR is teaching me is to not limit my goal to just what is right in my mind at this point, but to leave myself open to extraordinary possibilities. So I don't exactly know how it's going to be. I'm going to be like in terms of a pastor, but I know it's not going to be a traditional, I'm not going to be being a traditional pastor with a traditional church. Something about the PSR education here has taught me to defy convention, and I'm looking forward to that opportunity to do that faithfully in community and in service to God. My experiences here at PSR have been a combination of incredible centeredness and spiritual discernment. One of the things that one of my very first professors here at PSR said to me is, she said, you know, part of being in seminary is we're going to deconstruct you. We're going to take you apart so you can put yourself back together in a new way. And in many ways, that's happened, right? That is what's happening to me. Some of my assumptions have gone through the wayside because when you're interacting with so many diverse people, the frameworks that I came with have been, in some ways, some of them have been shattered, some of them have been remolded, and I've been able to adopt new ways of thinking and new ways of exploring and new ways of thinking about God and community and spirituality and faith and service and community. And so my experience here has been one of incredible discernment, experiencing joyful community, really hard work. They make you, you know, a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of scholarship, and at the same time, this sort of centeredness of joy and certainty for what is possible out there. So it may sound like a contradiction, but certainty and joy and possibility really are the essence of my experience here at PSR.
I learned mostly about myself first.
To be able to listen, to have a better ear to listen to people, and to understand some of the things that that I didn't quite understand before taking these programs. But I feel I'm ready now to do the work.
Must say I've forgotten how beautiful this place is. I had a very happy year in 1984 to 1985, but now being back, it's all back again. And my experience in my heart, how happy I was here, that has come back, and I hope it's not going to take another 20 or 30 years until I will come back to PSR.
I actually told Dr. J, he taught my first class, it's like, you know what? This is not for me. I think this is way too soon. I'm going to have to take a step back. And he's like, no, Carla, no, we need you. And here I am. And I'm so glad I stayed, because now I have the courage to not only think differently, but to do things differently. And to, for the first time, I totally have accepted me as a same gender loving woman, my 100% whole self. And I'm not afraid to tell anybody anymore. So that's my story.
My experiences at PSR so far have been one of experiencing this extraordinarily loving and embracing community with some great scholars who have taught me how to ask questions that I only hoped I would learn how to ask, who've taught me how to think and read and experience spirituality and faith in a critical way, and who have taught me to embrace my calling to be a minister both with scholarship and grounded in community and faith.
Why did you choose to come to PSR?
I chose to come to PSR for a number of reasons. One, the first one was quite honestly proximity. I live in Oakland, I have a family, and it was close. But secondly, when I saw the caliber of the professors that were here and the caliber of the scholarship and the depth of spirituality and faith, that is something that you don't find in too many places. And so as I was scouring different seminaries throughout the country to help me figure out what should I ask for and look for at PSR, I came to discover a community here that's been at the forefront of new innovations in spirituality and in community engagement and in spiritual leadership that I didn't see in almost any other place. And so it was the perfect choice for me and where I want to be in my life and in the context of my spiritual leadership and community. My classes at PSR have been primarily relatively small, maybe 10, 12 people at a time. They have been very rich in content and in conversation. The reading lists are extensive. The writing requirements and the research requirements are extensive here. So I get challenged. My classes challenge me both intellectually and also personally. They force me to ask new questions. they're an environment in which I learn as much from the teacher as from my classmates. And I think that is a very powerful way of teaching here, to understand that we all have something to bring together. I'm learning right now, I'm taking a post-colonial feminist biblical studies class in which it's impossible to read the Bible in the same way after taking this class. It's causing me to ask new kinds of questions that I never thought about. You know, what is imperialism and the role of imperialism? What is community and how do we build community faithfully? And those two things can come together, and, you know. So that's what it's been. My classes have been one of great intellectual rigor and outstanding scholarship and incredible learning. And the learning is, again, defined by everyone who's present in the classroom, not just the instructor. So why did I come at this point in my life to decide to go to seminary? That's a really good question. I think, you know, I had a very full career in the nonprofit world and the philanthropic world, and also in government, running major agencies like the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, or Goodwill. I was doing incredible work for civil rights and justice and addressing the issues and needs of the poor in an incredibly empowering way. But throughout that whole time, there was always this gnawing voice that kept coming to me that said, it is time for you to serve your community and to serve God in a different way. It is time for you to lead with faith. It is time for you to lead not just with a focus on systems redesign and public policy changes, but a focus on transformation. How do we transform our communities? What does it mean to be a transformational leader? And I knew that with all the leadership courses I had taken and all the other times of the work I had done, I had never had the opportunity to really focus on what is transformational leadership all about in today's day and world, right? With the incredible global diversity, with the cynicism about faith and Christianity and other religions, where was there a place for me to begin to engage differently with the kinds of questions about justice and love and liberation and hope? Seminary was the only place I could find where that opportunity was available to me, where those kinds of questions were not put to the sidelines, but were actually embraced and encouraged here. So, you know, I spoke with my family. I sat down with my daughter and my spouse, and they said, you know, you have been mulling seminary over for 30 years. It's time to stop mulling, and it's time to start doing. And because PSR was right in my backyard, you know, there was like no excuse to delay this any longer. So I'm here. It's been an incredible experience. You know, my daughter keeps sort of saying to me, just because I'm going to be a pastor's kid doesn't mean I'm going to change my life for you. And at the same time, she and I sit down together and we do our homework together, you know, and we have these incredible conversations about God and justice and community and life and love.
I'm on the right path, and currently I'm now the congregational care minister at my church, and praying about and in discernment about doing the Changemakers program, but I'm on my way to my path to doing my Master's of Divinity program. So I'm looking forward to staying at PSR.